the next scenario. The next scenario that we'll be looking at is scenario 4. And scenario 4 is going to be a little bit of a bigger scenario. We're going to split it up into two parts, 4A and 4B, because we want to get as close as possible to some real-world scenarios that you might be experiencing in your environment. So what we'll be doing in 4A here, scenario 4A, is we're going to make some large branch-based changes, right? So we'll use branches to make some changes to our data models in our repos. There's going to be two branches, one for minor fixes and one for new features. And we're going to be resolving the parallel work and the conflicts that might occur there using pull requests. Right, so we'll start from the main, right, and the main will get copied into clone 1, and that's where we'll work on the minor fixes. It will also get pulled into new features, clone 2, and that's where we'll be adding larger new features, obviously. So let's take a look at that and start with clone 1. So we're in clone 1 now, and we'll open up the data model. And in the data model, what we're going to be doing is we're going to do something very simple. We'll add a description to the movies collection over here, right? So here we go. This is a description of the movies collection, right? And we'll apply that change. And when we apply that change, we'll save it in the local clone. And what we'll do next is we are going to commit this, adding the description, but instead of committing and pushing it to the main, we're going to add it to the minor fixes branch, right? So we need to create that branch first, and now I've committed it there. Still need to push it there. You see that the branch is now selected over there at the top, right? So now I have this minor fix, right? The description to the collection added to the minor fixes branch. Next, we're going to be making a change to clone 2, right? So in clone 2, I'll open up the data model. And the change that I'm going to be making here is a little bit more elaborate because I'm going to add a new feature by adding a new collection, right? And this is the animals collection, right? And the only thing that I'll add here for now is one attribute, which is an object ID, right? Which we will expand on a little bit later. But for now, we've just added this one thing to clone 2. Save that locally and then go into my Git interface here and say that we are adding the animals, but we're not adding it to the main. We're creating a new branch here, and that branch is going to be the new features branch. Right, so again, same thing. I've created the branch, I've committed the changes, I just need to push it to that new features branch that I've selected here at the top. So in parallel, the work on the minor fixes is going to continue, right? There's another fix coming over here, which we will be implementing in clone 1. So we'll switch to clone 1, right? Open up the model over there. And very simply, what we're going to be doing here is we'll grab the description and we'll add a second line to it. Line of the description of the movies collection, right? So, and again, we will save that to our clone, right? And in my Git interface here, we're going to commit and push this not to the main, but to the minor fixes branch. So adding a second line to the description is going to be committed and pushed to the minor fixes branch. And in parallel, right, we're going to make some additional changes to the new features as well. And we're going to be making another change there in clone 2. So we'll switch to clone 2, right, and grab the file, open the model. And now what we do here is we add another property, that is the name, which is a string. You know, I'm adding that to this collection for now as a simple edit, saving that as well. Committing and pushing that to the new features, adding the name property, committing and pushing it. And now we're in a situation where the minor fixes actually want to merge their changes into the main, creating this new version over there, right? So that's what we'll do next. So we'll go back to clone 1 and we'll do something that we haven't done yet, which is we are going to open a pull request. With a pull request, what we're going to be doing is we're going to submit the changes that we've made in the minor fixes branch of clone 1. We're going to request that they be integrated into the main branch of the repo. So that means, can we please review the descriptions and add them, right? So that's how I do this. I open the pull request, right? And, because I am obviously allowed to review this myself, I am able to merge this automatically into the main, right? So the minor fixes branch with those 2 edits to the description of the movies collection has now been merged into the main. If I switch to the main here, then obviously I first need to pull. Once I've done that, right, I should have the latest version of the model in the main now. And that should mean that the latest version of the description is now part of the main, as you can see over here. Great, right? So all of this has worked exactly as we had hoped it would. And what we'll do next is we'll do 2 more changes in the different branches, right? So we'll do 1 more minor fix and another new feature, right, over here. And we will see how this then evolves, right? So let's first go back to our clone 2. And in clone 2, we're still in the new features branch, right? We are going to make some more changes here, right? And we're adding a property here to the animals collection, right? So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to add the movie ID, which is a object ID. We'll add that to this collection. It's a little bit small. And then what we'll also do is we'll create a relationship from the animals to the movies, right, with a particular cardinality, right, 0 to n, right? So there can be 0 to n animals in a movie. And we will commit and push this, right? We'll save it first, and then we will commit and push this to the new features, completing the animals collection, right? Commit and push this. And then we'll switch back to our clone 1 and do 1 more minor change there. Let's open it up, which is that we're going to add another line to the description. Right, so now we're adding a 3rd line to the description of the movies collection. We will save this here in our clone 1, and we will commit and push this to the, we are going to commit and push this not to the main, but to the minor fixes. Right, so here we go. We are going to say adding a 3rd line to the description, right? Commit and push it on minor fixes, right? So that's what we've done right now. And then the next thing that we will do is we are going to merge the minor fixes from clone 1 into the main using a pull request. So how do we do that? Right, we are going to say adding more meat to the bone in the description of the movies collection, right? And we are going to open a pull request for that, right? So we have now done that. We need to update the branch, right? So because the minor fixes is actually out of date with the main branch, and then we can merge it in. Right, so we've now merged this into the main branch, and that also means that we will have to pull into the minor fixes branch. We can also go and take a look at what it now looks like in the main branch after pulling over there. Right, you can see that the blue dots are constantly reminding us of what we need to do next, right? So if we now go into the main of clone 1, right, then we should have the 3 lines of the description over here, right? This has now been merged into the main. All of that has worked exactly as expected. Now, the last thing that we'd like to do in this scenario 4a is we are going to try and get the updates that we've made to the new features branch on clone 2 and merge that back into the main. In order to do that, we're first going to have to pull from the main and then resolve any potential conflicts and then merge everything into the main branch. Right, so how do we do this? We're going to go into clone 2, And in clone 2, we are going to create a pull request where we want to say that we are going to adding the animals feature to the main, right? We're going to open that pull request over there. But again, it's going to say, well, you first need to update. And when we do that, it will basically highlight, hey, there has been a conflict here. So let's solve those conflicts, right? And it's going to have a description of all the changes, the merges, the additions, the modifications, right? Everything is going to be here. I'm going to solve all of those changes. And then I'm going to merge that into the main, right? So when we do that, we also need to go and pull. And then we are going to switch to the main. Also there, we will need to do a pull. And then if we then go and take a look at the resulting data model over here, then we will see that we now have exactly the new features over there, but we also have the minor fixes over there. Right, so this has now been completely resolved in parallel, exactly the way we want it to. If I go into clone 1 and do a pull there first as well, because we've made a bunch of changes in clone 2. Then we're in the main branch, we open up the model. We will also there see that there's the new features over there, and we also have the latest description available to us there as well. So great, that was scenario 4A, and we are going to continue with some more complex examples in a little bit with scenario 4B.